lovely faces of our members at all these events. We just are welcoming you to NABLE's Circle of Learning. Now, let's go ahead and get started with explaining the goal for NABLE's Circle of Learning. It's to provide educational opportunities for women entrepreneurs in order to build and strengthen capacity and capabilities to grow their businesses. Through the Circle of Learning monthly education series, our members connect, learn, and grow. Topics are based in part on the needs of our members as well as the growing trends affecting businesses and the marketplace every day. Examples of topics include business brands, key strategies for business growth, business development, sales, and marketing. Next. Now, our president of NABLE Greater Detroit chapter is the beautiful, illustrious Charmaine Brown. Charmaine has a salutation for you. So, Charmaine, you have the floor.
Not the illustrious.
The illustrious, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Olivia. I just wanted to quickly thank all of you for being here today. We are really proud about our partnership with Davenport University, and most importantly, really excited to be able to partner with Davenport University to support developing our NABLE Greater Detroit chapter members. I do want to just give a special thank you to Tamika Brown, who is on the line, who is our vice president of on the board. And she, along with Olivia Kroom and Yolanda Haynes, who unfortunately is not with us, have been instrumental in helping to piece together this relationship with Davenport. But I also have to thank Lisa House and Alakwa. Where are you, Bobbitt?
Yes,
And
she's
thank
here.
you, Trina. Thank you, Trina, for facilitating today's session. We really, really appreciate the support and the partnership that we have. The last thing I will say, it's kind of interesting that we're going to be talking about this particular topic, and I'm fighting my Yorkie here who wants to be in the meeting. But as I've been meeting and working with my clients, I do diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting for different industries. One of the questions that a lot of businesses are starting to ask is, as we hopefully move back into some sense of normalcy, are we going to operate as business as usual, or are we going to take advantage of this opportunity to reimagine? And so I think the conversation that we're going to be having with Trina is going to help bring some perspective to that. Not only just for those of you who are servicing clients, but if you also have your own employees, and, you know, to the intersection between having to deal with both personal responsibilities and our professional responsibilities. So very excited to hear more about that today. And once again, really thank you so much for attending our Circle of Learning for January.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Charmaine. Now, as Charmaine has stated, NABLE has the pleasure of developing this wonderful relationship with Davenport University. And in our first quarter of 2021, we have speakers scheduled from Davenport University to present at our circles of learning. So this is exciting news and such a unique opportunity that the members and family members and employees can take a part of. And Lisa will explain that a little bit more as we go on. As a matter of fact, I'd like to introduce Lisa. Lisa is the Vice President of Detroit Campuses and Strategic Partnerships at Davenport University. She has a few words for us, and then afterwards, she is going to introduce our speaker for today. So without further ado, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Olivia.
Mhm.
Good evening, ladies. How are you this evening? I'm
Wonderful.
hearing a little feedback on my end, so hopefully that won't be too much of a distraction for you. However, I am Lisa Howes, and I'm super excited to be here with you this evening and really proud of the partnership that we've formed between Davenport University and NABO. This has been a long relationship for me, nearly 17 years that I've been associated with the organization or someone who's been in a leadership capacity. And so to form this partnership, um, I want to just share the value and what we intend as a university. Our goal is to provide educational opportunities for yourselves, your employees, as well as extend that same benefit to your dependents. I recognize that many of you who are business owners perhaps already have attained your bachelor's degree, and some of you may have master's and doctorates. But what's unique about Davenport University is not only do we provide degree programs for those who are seeking a degree, but we provide professional development through our Institute of Professional Excellence, so DU IPEx. And with that being said, this is the first installment of 3 presentations that Davenport University will be doing for NABO, as Olivia mentioned. And so I'm excited that tonight's topic is a fresh start in 2021, where you have an opportunity to focus on your personal and professional priorities, because we know that we have to balance and manage both. And with that being said, we have a dynamo who's going to share this information with you on tonight. Her name is Trina Poston. Trina is a catalyst for positive change with a track record of engaging executives and staff members to generate new ideas and increase overall performance. With over 20 years of experience in managing, training, and leading others, Trina has worked in industries such as healthcare, higher education, consulting, and hospitality. Trina is currently the portfolio manager at Priority Health and a professional facilitator for Davenport University Institute of Professional Excellence. Her passion is leveraging existing human capital to create and implement customer-focused solutions and to teach others how to use their skills and potential. Trina has 2 children who are in the 5th and 6th grade. So when you're talking about somebody who knows what they're talking about, she's definitely the one. And so I like to introduce you to Ms. Trina Poston, and she'll take over the presentation at this time. Trina?
Thank you so much, Lisa, and thank you, ladies, for having me. I am so excited to be here with you and so excited that this is a small group of ladies just hoping to learn and share with each other. So I can tell you, this is not necessarily meant to be lecture style. I hope that we are all engaged and sharing with each other and learning from the community that you're building here. So I'm very excited to be here with you. And because I don't know you all, I'd like to start with a couple really quick poll questions just to give me a sense of who you are and where you're coming from. So with that, just if you could put in the poll, what are you doing for work right now? Are you working outside the home for an employer, split your time working from home or with an employer, completely at home, or if you are seeking other opportunities? And most of us are fully remote. I am as well. Okay. All right. And just one additional quick poll question. If you are asked to work from home, say for a year or the foreseeable future, how will you feel about that? Are you excited about it? Are cautiously optimistic? Or is that just, are those the most awful words you could possibly hear? All right, a little bit of both. Some excitement and some enthusiasm. So if anyone is willing to share, I'm going to start with the group that has maybe a little bit of anxiety around that. If you are open to share, What types of things are you finding challenging in separating work and family? And
I'll
then
go. Taryn, I think, had her hand up too. So maybe do you all know how to use the reactions to raise your hand or just unmute?
I was looking for them. So who had said they wanted to go? Besides me. All right, I'll go real quick. So I own a construction company and I split my time between our office in Detroit and my home office. I share my home office with my lovely 7-year-old, and I have had the privilege of going back to school. So I completed first grade last year and I'm enrolled in second grade this year, and it's lovely. And so I'm trying to get her to understand that I'm working and I need to be left alone when she is in school, and getting her to stay there. I can't tell you how many times my PPP application today was interrupted by, how do you spell this? Or I need a hug, or can you get me this? And so needless to say, I just submitted my application more than once because it timed out. So I'm dealing with that, not so much as I need to still clean my house and I need to cook dinner, because those are also my responsibility. And my husband, he's fortunate. He goes down to our business office and he's there all day. He comes home, he exercises, he helps out where I need him, but I'm finding the majority of everything is falling on me.
Gotcha. You were in the right place. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about this evening. And I will share, come here. Come here. I will share that I am in the same boat with you, because I went upstairs prior to this conversation and said, hey, tiny humans, I've got a thing that I'm doing. Stay up here. And yet, here we are. This is my beautiful, pretending to be shy 10-year-old daughter, Maylee. Can you wave to the ladies? This is all a group of ladies, but we'll let them see you. She's playing in makeup, and so she's being a little shy about what her face looks like, but I can assure you it is completely put together. So I can completely understand, Taryn, where you're coming from, and those are things we'll be discussing. All right. Do you have a question answered?
No.
What do you need?
Push factors.
I don't know what that means, but I need to get
And
to
it's
this.
not in math.
Okay. I'll check on it in just a minute. All right. So, point taken. I think with that, we are all very much in the same boat. We'll talk through some more of my strategies with that one. You just saw one is I kind of invite my kids to the party, even if I'm working. That's one of those things that right now, because of things being such as they are, I've just been really clear with my employer that I have small children, and sometimes they will be there and asking questions and interjecting. And I'm very fortunate that the majority of the people that I work for and with also have the same thing going on. So we've just made it a safe environment to where if you happen to see a small child or a dog or the mailman, that's just part of the workday at this point. But we'll talk about that a little bit more. Awesome. Thank you, Taryn. Was there someone else that wanted to share a little bit of anxiety or something that's causing them a little bit of stress? All right.
This is Charmaine. I have a 13-year-old daughter and a husband who sometimes acts 13. My husband knew before COVID, he traveled quite a bit. And so I'm happy that we have large enough space that we don't necessarily need to see each other. But I like, especially during the day, but I find that also still trying to manage my daughter's schedule, making sure that there's food. The meetings, we call the meetings in the lunchroom in, the kitchen where we all meet up. And sometimes it's just too much having everybody in the house because I have always worked out of the home over these past 5 years as an entrepreneur, they've gone to school and gone to work. So I don't get those quiet moments that I used to cherish when everyone went away. And so it's been a challenge.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I can already tell this conversation is going to go a little bit different direction than what I thought when we put it together. So it's actually really exciting just that folks are sharing and that we'll just be able to have some open and real dialogue. So I'm excited for this. For those of you who were enthusiastic about maybe not returning to the office, what does that look like and feel like for you? What excites you about this continued work from home status that we're in? Is anybody open to share what you're looking forward to about continuing to work from home?
Yes, this is Tisha, and I am excited about continuing to wear loungewear. I'm not even playing or exaggerating. Wearing 5-inch heels.
Savings on the budget,
And
right?
I don't miss, having to get all glammed up. I'm enjoying being like nice looking from the shoulder up, honestly. And it gives me a sense of peace and calm and less focus on what I look like and more on the content that I'm about to deliver to someone. So now that all my meetings are virtual, I feel like more focused on actually delivering great content and value than the time it takes me to get ready to be out at a networking event.
Absolutely. That is such a great share. Thank you so much for sharing that, because it helps realign our focus in different ways now that we're home. Yeah, that's a great one. Another one, does anyone else have something else that they're excited about as it relates to being at home or continuing to work from home?
I'll share. I think one of the things that I have learned is that since I've been working strictly at home, is that I need nothing in my office anymore. So all the stuff that I have in my office, I literally have found that I could probably just get rid of it. So I've learned to utilize the resources that I have more internally. And then also, I think that with just having a large amount of meetings, being able to network a little bit more throughout our organization, I think that's been beneficial as well. And then, of course, my commute time is worth it in itself, So and I'm with the woman that says I got yoga pants on right now and a shirt through a scarf on, through my glasses on, and here I am, So I think that it simplifies and it allows me to be able to really spend more time focusing on those things that are my goals, those things that I do have a thought process about, really being able to create it. And then also too, being in my atmosphere that's comfortable for me as well. So I find it thus far has been a benefit.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Sometimes it's about finding those things that are the silver linings, because let's be real, this was thrust upon all of us. So for those of us, I don't remember who it was that said when we were kind of starting off that they're an extrovert. For my extrovert friends, some may be struggling a little bit because they're not with their people and meeting people and doing different things and being out in community. Now, for those like myself who are more introverted, I am perfectly fine. I don't need a return to work date. I am good to go. But, balancing that dynamic, not only for ourselves, but for the people who work for us and around us, can be a challenge. So I appreciate all of you for sharing. Next slide, please. So as we spend some time together tonight, some of the things that we'll be talking about is just balancing real life. What does that look like? And just the word balance in and of itself can be a little bit of a trigger for people. So we'll talk through what that looks like and feels like for you. How this unusual year, right? This year has been different for everyone, and specifically for those who have folks in school, whether that's elementary school or college, because everyone's been affected. We'll talk about all of us as working mothers, entrepreneurs, caregivers, what that looks like for our school, our family responsibilities. And we'll talk about and also share. That's the interactive part where I like to hear from you. You know, there are things that I will offer, but also hear from you how we can support each other, how we can best kind of insulate ourselves and make sure that we're getting the support that we need. I think one of the things that comes to mind for me through this time has been, you can't pour from an empty cup. And I literally keep a cup on my desk to remind me of that saying. And this is a time about intention, right? So making sure that we're intentional about everything that we're doing, what we're taking in, and also the value that we're providing back out. So that's kind of the game plan for our time together this evening. Next slide, please. So just a really quick visual here. I know that one of the things that we hear a lot in media and all over is about, you know, finding work-life balance. And I like this little visual just because it's the actual dichotomy of what current state feels like and what that desired balanced state feels like. And I'll be honest with you, I don't subscribe to a work-life balance philosophy. I'm a firm believer in work-life integration because I don't take off my mom hat and set it aside just because I'm at work, or I can't always put my phone away and leave my commitments of the team that I lead by the wayside because I'm also trying to run my own business. So all of those things have to start to work together. And the smarter we can be about how all of those things integrate and align, the better off we are and more productive we can be. I'm sorry, Lynn, I see a hand up. Did you have a question or was that a hand that's been up for a minute?
That was from before.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So we can flip slides, please. Thank you. So throughout our time tonight, there'll be a few chat questions, again, just for engagement interaction, just to help me understand a little bit more about all of you and what you have going on. If at any time we are in a question that says type it in the chat and you have more to add, please feel free to unmute yourself and let's just have some honest dialogue, okay? So the first question that we have is really honest question. How are you feeling? And what are some of the stressors that you're feeling right now? And that can be either in chat or if you feel like unmuting and having some dialogue, we can do that as well. And I don't see if it's just my side, but there's nothing coming through in the chat yet. So I'm wondering if folks are using the poll. There we go. Yeah, frustrated, running behind. Yep, definitely that feeling of not knowing which end is up. Absolutely. I think it's important to note that we're all on a bit of a continuum, and we can flip to the next slide, please. Yeah, exhausted, curious about the vaccine. Yes, we have all of these things that are going on, all while trying to maintain whatever semblance of normal that we think that we should have in our homes. Some overwhelmed, some days are good, some days are bad. Yep. One thing that is important to note here is that all of those are very common, very normal, and that in some way we're all facing them, maybe at different levels and at different times, but those are very common things that we're all experiencing as we go through this pandemic and this season of COVID. One of the things that is adding to that for many is trying to manage online distance learning for these kiddos. 71% of people actually report that online learning is a significant cause of their stress. I know many of us use all sorts of online portals in our workday, but what we're encountering with our children is yet another system to try to figure out, more information to take in, and all of those things can add to the stress. Slide, please. I thought this was an interesting statistic, and many of you have hit on this already, that work itself is a new source of stress. And Charmaine, I think it was you that mentioned this, that many of us who work outside the home do it because we enjoy it. We enjoy getting out and being with the public. We enjoy a different level of engagement with community and working outside the home. And so now we're starting to see that as a stressor. There's a couple simple things that I think are compounding this or adding to this. There's simple things that we found reprieve in that simply aren't there anymore. So for example, lunch with a colleague. It's a very different dynamic than, hey, let's go grab a burger, than let's grab some food and meet on Zoom. Our morning commute. Some of you don't miss that at all, but some of you do miss that quiet time of reflecting or praise and worship or listening to a podcast on your drive in. Even just that morning cup of Starbucks, stopping in to grab that morning cup of whatever beverage you enjoy, not having that can feel like a loss. And I think that's a major part of why folks are struggling sometimes with not going into the office, because we're grieving the life as we knew it. So again, just really important to connect into what it is that you may be missing about going into work, or not going into work, excuse me. But then also thinking about what we can enjoy about being at home, whether that's sweatpants or not doing makeup or putting our hair in a ponytail or whatever that may be. Slide, please. This was already mentioned as well, the rising responsibilities that we have at home. Does anyone in this group have responsibilities to both children and aging parents? Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very different dynamic, because you have folks at both ends of the spectrum. People that need you, who may or may not have ever been solely independent for their activities of daily living, and then folks who have been independent that now find themselves in a role of dependency. So that definitely adds to the stress and the complication of what's going on at home. I won't read this slide to you. It's just about the changing roles and responsibilities in the home. But I know one of the things that sticks out to me with this particular infographic is the photo. And I noticed that the woman, quite honestly, looks very lonely. And I think that as we kind of go through this time, recognizing that those feelings of loneliness can be very real, and solidifying resources for ourselves when we're feeling that is very important. Just a few quick things, 60% of working parents don't have help coming in. And because of COVID, in many cases, we can't have help coming in. So we're spending that extra time trying to manage all of those extra things. So we have more responsibilities, whether that's running errands, having more folks in our home, because the kids are always home, right? They're not going out and doing all of their sports like they normally would. And most of those responsibilities fall on us as women. And so really important just to recognize how we're doing emotionally, and whether that's hiding in the closet with a glass of wine or a cup of tea and calling a girlfriend, or participating in groups like this, or making sure that we carve out some time for ourselves in the workday, that we're doing that so we don't get to that place of overwhelm and loneliness and burnout. The way this screen is set up, I can't see your faces anymore. So I'm going to take a pause here just to see if there's any questions, thoughts, comments at this point.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Slide, please. Can we advance the slide, please? Perfect. So we had just started to hit on this. This is a really nice slide that just talks about all of the new responsibilities for caregiving that we're taking on. The number of people providing caregiving in their home has gone up. The number of people they're providing care for has gone up, as well as the complexity of coordinating all of that care. More time on the phone, more text messages spent, difficulty finding people that can help to lighten that load for us is just more challenging right now. For those of us who have our own businesses and potentially employees, finding ways to be creative to allow our staff to be with their families is also critically important. I have a person on my team who actually, because we're working remote, she had the opportunity to move to Florida temporarily, but she's going to be in Florida for the quarter to be able to support her aging parents. Also seeing more working adults that are opening up their homes to adult children, and adult children either moving home or maybe taking a gap year and not going to college. So we'll see that as well. Slide, please. And this statistic was staggering to me, and one of the things that really pulled on my heart about a group of ladies. 23% of Americans say caregiving has made their health worse. So as we feel like we take everything on to begin with, and then we've compounded that with COVID, and many of you have noted this too, the attention on our health and wellness just isn't there as it may have been before. So this is one of the things that I wanted to call out. I typically don't like a lot of statistics, but I think this one is important because as we continue down this journey, and we don't know how long it's going to be, focusing on not only our mental health, but our physical health also is critically important. Slide, please. All right, so we've talked a little bit about the home impact and the impact for caregivers, the increased responsibilities that many of us are facing. What about the financial or economic impact? What are you seeing with that? So this is a chat-based question. What is the financial or economic impact the pandemic has brought, either for you personally or that you see in people in your circles? And that can be in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself.
This is Charmaine. I think it's kind of a mixed bag. I have some folks in my network who have really seen a significant impact in a negative way to their businesses, and having to kind of retool and remodel and repurpose their businesses or look at other opportunities. And that's also indicative. I'm also speaking to some of our members for NABO as well. And then I've seen organizations that have thrived during this time because they either had a service or a product that kind of fit the times, so to speak. Or they created innovation around it. And so it's really kind of been a mixed bag, so to speak. My business in particular has seen an increase, not be necessarily because of COVID, but because of all of the issues around racial inequities. And so from a business standpoint, in the worst and terrible times, it's actually been a boost to my business, but for others, it's been a huge challenge.
Thank you for sharing that. And we will see, you're absolutely right. It is a mixed bag. And how do we promote the right things and move forward depending on what we're doing. So for those of us who are internal or entrepreneurs, what does that look like? And the dynamic may be very different for those of us who are entrepreneurs and trying to build our own businesses. Slide, please. One more, thank you. Because the reality is not everyone can work remotely. I found this really interesting that only 30% of the workforce, of the total workforce, can work remotely. 60% of those are in managerial or leadership positions, what we would typically consider white collar, and less than 10% of what we would consider blue collar employees can work remotely. So we have people that are either being forced to change how they work or choosing to change how they work. And for the most part, the most impact with the changing work dynamic is occurring in women and people of color. Next slide, please. So we look at that long term. Obviously, we don't know what the end result will be. But as we started COVID, unemployment rate was at an all-time low, or at a 50-year low, I'm sorry. But we did start to see more women drop out of the workforce. And that gap was widening between women and men in terms of the type of employment they were in and the roles that they were in. So we'll be looking at that shift as well. So for those of us who are internal, what does that look like and what opportunity does that present to create different roles within our organization and potentially promote women? But also for those of us who are building businesses, how can we reshape what we're building to make it more accessible for women and people of color to be more successful in the workplace? Next slide. So what kinds of things do you think would be helpful, either for those that are building businesses and have employees, or for those that work in corporate America? What types of things can employers do to help retain folks in the workplace, to help keep people engaged? What types of things do we think that as business owners or employers we can do to help ease this time during COVID? And that can go in the chat or open dialogue. Absolutely. Flexible leave packages. Ooh, no micromanaging. That is a really good one. People have enough stress without having someone breathing down their neck about what to do. Absolutely. Support and empathy, great. All really good suggestions. Next slide, please. So y'all are hitting them right on the head. Flexibility, whether that's flexibility in just day-to-day work assignment, or that's things like using time off. A lot of times we don't encourage people to use time off because of course we need them and we need them to do the role that they've been hired for, but also we need them to do it at their best. And sometimes that means taking some time off and getting that recharge. I know with my employer, we just had MLK Day off yesterday for the first time ever as a paid holiday. And it was a really nice reprieve. I know for me personally, it was good reflection time, not only for myself, but on Dr. King's legacy, but that flexibility meant something to our organization and to our community. So a really nice thing to consider there. A couple people mentioned this, being vulnerable, being able to say, I'm not doing so well, even as a leader. One of the things that I do with my team is weekly, we'll send out what I call it is a mental health check, but it has different colors of hearts on it. And I literally check in and say, how are y'all doing? How are you feeling? And I find that having it in a color somewhat takes a little bit of the pressure off of it. So people don't have to use words of, I'm not doing well, or this is what's going on. They just report back, I'm green today, or I'm red today. And based on the color, I know exactly what to check in on. Sometimes we just put that in our Microsoft Teams chat. And it could be something that as a team, we all rally around and can provide support and resources to help that particular member. Accountability. Sometimes, and I know that we hate to say it, but sometimes this is about decreasing accountability, taking a few things off people's plates where you can, right? I'm a huge subscriber to 200% accountability. Not only am I accountable for myself, but I'm accountable for the people around me, whether that's my children or the people that I'm working with. So the beauty of that is not only do I have your back, I can expect that you have mine. So creating that environment for people where they can feel comfortable saying, you're not at your best today, are you okay? And showing that you care in that 200% accountability goes a really long way to build the communities that we want to see in those safe places in our businesses and organizations. Another piece to this, just as a suggestion, spreading the workload. This is a great time to reevaluate, do people have too much? What does that look like? Maybe putting on another FTE doesn't make sense, but can we bring on an intern? Are there volunteers that could potentially come in and help to spread the workload? Modifying policies and procedures. This is a really great time to look at, are policies too rigid to support the time that we're in? So just a few suggestions there. Slide, please. And I believe that you will have access to these slides afterwards. So all of these suggestions will be available for you. One important thing, either if you're in corporate or in your own business, when you think about your performance reviews for this year, really take into account where folks are personally. We can't expect that everyone is going to come in and give 120% during this pandemic. So adjusting your expectations to match the reality of the situation, and give them a fair evaluation based on the current state of the world, and thinking about whether or not their potential bonus or raise is truly tied to their productivity and what that looks like. Slide. All right, and I'm actually going to skip this question because I think we're getting pretty short on time. But I do want to go to the next, go one more, please. And let's get into what great things are on the horizon. And I apologize, I don't remember the lady's name who mentioned this, but she was talking about getting rid of the things in her office. So that's one of the things I'm hearing quite a bit too. People are taking this time to really purge and get down to what's necessary for me to have in my life. Many of you mentioned this in your resolutions that Olivia kicked us off with, but what great things are on the horizon do you see either personally or in your organizations? Those can go in the chat or in open dialogue.
My child is going back to school in person.
Amen to that. I just had one come off of self-quarantine. So yeah, it is a challenge. So we're happy when they get to go back. Yes, a vacation. Won't it be nice to lay on somebody's sand somewhere, get on an airplane, new business opportunities. Yes, more people reading. I think I've read at least 5 books so far. Yeah. All right. Ooh, a graduate. Yes, hopefully you'll get to have kind of the traditional graduation experience. I know a lot of our youth missed out on that this past year, but hopefully we'll get back to that. Awesome. We could switch the slide, please. A lot of these are meant for internally to corporate life, some things to look forward to. Creating organizations or departments that have more empathy, trust, and collaboration, just being more transparent and real with each other and our teams. This time has given us the opportunity to look at processes. As we talked about before, being more flexible. and making sure that we are looking at retention through that DE&I lens, looking to promote women and people of color because we know that the workforce is changing for that group specifically. Continuing to look at roles to be more flexible for those parents who have to be caregivers and teachers at the same time. Next slide, please. And as we continue to talk about fresh starts, circling back to kind of where we started with those New Year's resolutions, as some folks call them, or goals, as others call them, we're looking at those across the board, right? Whether it's personal, professional, family, some are looking to lose weight and tone up, whether it's our finances, our faith, whatever those things may be, we're just looking forward to something new and fresh. And so I'd like to, as I wrap up here, just share with you this concept. If any of you are familiar with lean manufacturing, you've probably heard more Japanese terms than you care to let any of us know, but this one actually comes from my study of lean in manufacturing environments. But I think that we can apply these same types of concepts and principles to our personal lives. So this is a concept called ikigai. It's a Japanese concept for reason for being. And many of you have talked about this. It's like, what am I really here for aside from everything that's going on that I can't control? What is my real purpose? So this is the intersection of what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. So this is kind of the quintessential formulation of your happy place. So I'll repeat those in case you can't, it's difficult to see. It's what you love, what the world needs, what you're paid for, and what you're good at. And so once you start to align around your passion, your mission, your profession, and what your vocation is, all the rest of the other things start to fall away. So we start to realize I can live without some of this stuff in my house, or I don't need all these things. I don't need to go all these places. And I can fill my life with the things that matter. So I encourage you to just take a look at this concept. You can Google it. There are plenty of diagrams about it and a little bit deeper dive into what it means. But as we round out, or as we start 2021 and start to think about what's next for us in our fresh starts, it's a really good way to just think about narrowing things down to what's important, right? We want to take on the world. We've talked about that, being caregivers to everyone and all the things that are happening around us that we don't have control over. But really, it comes down to just a few small things. And in this particular instance, there's 4, right? So I know that we are short on time, and if anyone wants to connect, the ladies at NABO have my contact information. We can make sure we get that out to all of you. But again, I'd just like to thank all of you again for your time this evening. Anytime I can share with a group of women, I enjoy doing that. And I look forward to all. NABO is a newer organization for me to learn about, so I'm excited about everything that you're doing. I would just leave you with one final thought as we get ready to break here. Just to kind of round out our conversation and bring this home for you, take some time to reflect not only on what you have going on, but what your potential employees or people that you work with have going on in their personal lives, because all of us have something, whether it's children at home, whether we're dealing with aging parents, it doesn't matter. All of us have some challenge that we're facing. Take the time to learn more, whether that's reading, participating in discussions like this, taking classes. There are so many free resources right now or reduced cost resources right now because of COVID, whether that's LinkedIn Learning or Coursera, podcasts. There are so many opportunities to just learn something new and different. Continue to leverage resources like this one in Davenport. And it sounds like there are some additional exciting collaborations between NABO and Davenport, which Lisa is going to fill you in on now.
Thank you so much, Trina. And everybody, give Trina a virtual hand clap. for that amazing presentation she just provided to all of us. I think we all were able to take away some great gems. I certainly took notes while she was speaking. One of the key takeaways was what she shared up front, which was you cannot pour from an empty cup. And how often have we found our cups empty? And so as you go to the next slide, I want to just talk briefly about the partnership and what the benefits that are extended to members of NABO. You had an opportunity to get a sampling of what that is like through the presentation that Trina shared, but here is what it's like in terms of the benefits to you as members and those who are part of your organization. So on February 3rd at 11, there's a chat pop up button right over where I need to read on the slide. But nevertheless, it's from 11:30 to 12:15. So on February 3rd, 2021, we will host a town hall meeting for all NABO members. And in that meeting, we will go over the in-depth details about what the membership benefits are to you. And so as you can see here, we offer a 20% discount on tuition rates for most of our undergraduate programs and graduate degree programs. And like I stated in the beginning, I know many of you have already attained those levels of degree. So if there are members within your family, whether it's a spouse or dependents who are up to age 29, that 20% discount on tuition is extended to them as well. When you consider professional development, with which all of you can take advantage of that. This again is a sample of what that professional development looks like, whether it's in emotional intelligence, project management, leadership and supply chain management. I know we did a survey late last year when I was a part of the Ladies Over Luncheon, and about 50% of you indicated that you were interested in leadership and management. And so those are certainly some of the course offerings that are available through Davenport and our Institute for Professional Excellence. So again, come ready with questions on February 3rd to hear more about what those great benefits are for NABO members. Now, for those of you who may have joined us tonight that are not members of NABO, let this be an encouragement to you that perhaps now is the time to become a member so that you too can take advantage of these benefits through the partnership between NABO and Davenport University. And now with that, I'll turn it over to Olivia Krum for final comments.
Okay, guys, this is a unique opportunity. We just are so grateful for the Tamika working with Davenport so diligently to create this wonderful partnership. And we really should at least attend and listen to just the opportunities. And I'm sure you'll find something, if not for yourself, for a family member. Trina, Lisa, did you tell them that they need to register on this website, on this link here? On the flyer, we have the flyer on our website, and you can, on the flyer, there is a link for you to register for the town hall on February 3rd.
Yep, and I'll also drop it into the chat so everyone will have access from it real time. And so you could just copy it into your browser or save it into your calendar.
Great. Trina and Lisa, we just thank you so much. And Alakwa, I think you're still here. Yeah, Alakwa, I see you.
Yep, I'm still here.
Yes, we are just so grateful for you guys being so active and working with NABO. We look forward to all the future interactions that we have. We're going to make sure that we have a really crowded town hall meeting and people will take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. Lastly, on February 16th, we have our February Circle of Learning already on the website. It's with Mark Van Dellen. And it is the title is Engaging a Remote Workforce More Than Just a Zoom Call. And I know that all of us are kind of zoomed out right now, but he is going to really get into some interesting information to revitalize you when doing your virtual calls. So I admonish you guys to register for that. Last slide. Guys, I just thank you guys for showing up tonight. We don't want you to forget to connect with us. Also, on social media, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, I asked that you guys who had not gotten a chance to put your name and email address in the chat box for you to do it. That's the way we take attendance. And then I did want to ask one last question for guests. Lisa would like to reach out to everyone. Members we can reach out to, but for the guests, we want to get your permission for Lisa to reach out to you. If you could just raise your hand or in chat say a yes, that would be very helpful for us. Do we have any questions or anything before we call it quits tonight? Okay. Well, ladies, have a wonderful evening and look forward to seeing you at our next event. Have a good night. Bye now.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Good
All right.
job.
Yeah, I
That was
think I
good.
thought it was, I thought
Yep.
everyone did a great job. I think Trina was good. It was you know, more mental health issues and how people are doing. I think it was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still relevant. I want to make sure though for that next session, the February one, and I know that they've invited other people too,
Yeah.
but we just got to make sure that the speaker is still mindful that we are entrepreneurs, like we're
Yeah.
business owners
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
and try to spin the story more towards that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And yeah,